speaker today is Dena Buchanan. She's a regular attending member of the chapel, and she's a past member of the board of directors. Her quest for answers to the universe's question began with the curiosity of a small child and then continued to adulthood, earning her a bachelor's degree in Metaphysical Sciences and a master's in Divinity. And her journey still continues each day. She's happily married to her husband of 27 years, BJ, and they are both animal advocates, having rescued and fostered many animals over the years. She is definitely an animal advocate. This prompted Dena to start another business in hopes of bringing awareness and donations to local shelters and rescues through her website, helpadoggeout.com. That's cute. Dena and BJ are gifted with 2 children, their daughter Briana and their son Brandon. And Dena also has 6 granddaughters, including 2 sets of twins. Wow. one from her daughter and one from her son. Over the years, Dena and BJ have donated their service and resources in support of the chapel. For instance, a few years ago, before COVID, we had a continuous issue with the toilets clogging up. BJ, who is an excellent plumber, and I'm going to give him a little plug. If you ever need a plumber, call her. He's an expert plumber, and he donated his services in analyzing the problem. We told the landlord what the problem was, but he fixed the problem, and he installed the handicapped toilet in the back room. And whatever he did, it ended the problem. Now, before she steps up to the podium, I do want to share one more little itty-bitty thing about Dena. I'm not going to embarrass you. And it's that my nickname for her is Sunshine. And for those of you that know her, you know exactly why I call her that. So, I want to step back and invite Dena up to the podium. So join me in welcome, shall I say Reverend Buchanan? Dena Buchanan. Thank you.
Hi, everyone. That's so sweet. I'm not a reverend yet, but thank you. And thank you for that great introduction. Yeah, we did help out with the plumbing, but I don't want you guys just to know me for the toilets. I got a lot of stuff going on, some good stuff I'm going to tell you about today. Thank you to all the new people and the new members. It's been a while since I've been here. In fact, I think it's been about a year, and what a year it's been. Some of you already know that my daughter Briana was ill last year. One day she was fine, and the next day she wasn't. So everything changed. My sweet girl was literally joking. I had this huge speech, 8 pages. And I don't want to sit up here and cry. So I'm going to kind of compose it down. So my daughter was sick, and she was very sick, very quickly. And the doctors didn't know why. We rushed her to the emergency room. Thank God her husband has the knowledge that his wife was acting different. So he made sure she got to the emergency room. And you know, the emergency room is for trauma and emergencies and things that require immediate assistance. They're not, but they do have diagnostic tools. So she went through the tests, and the ER nurse said it was cancer. And I literally dropped to my knees. So he came back about 10 minutes later and said, you know, I should have waited until the ER tech, the x-ray tech looked at it, CT scan technician looked at it. Good news is it's not cancer. Bad news is we don't know what it is. So she was in the emergency room, straight to the cancer ward, because her brain was so inflamed that they had to shoot her, pump her up with a whole bunch of chemo drugs to get the inflammation down, which helped, but wreaked havoc on her body. You know, I read this last night in the comfort of my own home, didn't cry once. Knew this was going to happen. You guys that know me, this is not the first time you see me cry. So those that don't know me, welcome to chapel. So, long story short, she is fine now. She's doing wonderful. What had happened is she had a very aggressive form of multiple sclerosis. At first, they thought it was tumefactive, which is the worst. But my daughter, being the overachiever that she is, couldn't just take the worst. She had to get the very worst, and it ended up being fulminant multiple sclerosis. At one point, she had 26 lesions on her brain and spinal cord. So after going to different hospitals, you know, we went to Riverside. Fun fact, both my son and my daughter were born at Riverside Hospital. And they were the ones that really kind of took charge. First hospital we were at, she was there for a month, and they sent her home. They sent her home, and we were in her house less than 2 hours when we knew that she couldn't be home. She was gonna hurt herself, even though we were watching her, and we had been watching her. Myself, my husband, and her husband, Nako, took turns in the hospital. She was never alone. So we went to Riverside. Riverside did awesome. In fact, I wish I would have written down the doctor's name, because they really did go out of their way. But it came to a point where he said, we've given her the biggest guns we have in our arsenal. You need to go to UVA. So immediately at 2:00 in the morning, I followed the ambulance to the University of Virginia. And they too, even though they're specialists, had never seen anything like this. This was just crazy. They did figure it out. At one point, brain surgery was discussed. Not something you want to hear. Luckily, they didn't have to. So she got the help from a neurologist that also specializes in MS. She received multiple infusions. That was last year, in fact, almost a year to the day that we were at UVA, and I'm proud to say that she is doing very well now. The lesions are all but gone. Of course, sclerosis means scars, so you're always going to see them in the x-rays and CAT scans, what have you, but she's doing very good. And I need to thank everybody online here in chapel that supported us during this time. We couldn't have made it through without you, and thank you for the prayers and blessings. So that's the good news. So she's doing well. My ladies help me out. Do I look like a raccoon up here? Somebody tell me if I do. Wrong day to wear lashes. All right, so wow. So, yeah, I was going to go into a lot more detail, but you guys get the gist. So the good news is she is doing well. She's stable, and everything is great. Excuse me, I'm so sorry. Okay, thank you. So, in October, I started a new job. Betty mentioned that my husband and I own a plumbing company. I'm the boss, as a matter of fact. He just does the plumbing. He does all the easy stuff. I do the hard stuff, called Buchanan Plumbing. And I do have my passion project about my dogs. It's called Dena's Doggy Den. And I try to bring awareness to local shelters and rescues to help the doggies out. So please check that out, helpadoggyout.com. So I started a new job in October. Like most families, we needed to have 2 incomes coming in. And the universe brought me Tammy McGee. Tammy McGee is the founder of the Guido Memorial Foundation. It's a nonprofit that she started after the tragic death of her son. In 2019, they were leaving prom. The young man that he got into the car with was unlicensed. He went less than a mile and crashed into a tree, killed all 3 boys. Now, Tammy has taken this tragedy and done amazing things. I think I would be balled up in a corner. Probably most of us would, moms, dad alike. But she actually started this foundation. She has passed 4 bills in the last 5 years, making driving safer for your children and your grandchildren in the future. She also was paramount in vetoing a bill that would have had negative consequences. So I'm very proud to work with her as her executive assistant. It's meaningful work. She truly is saving lives. Now, in September of last year, I got a weird letter from my credit union saying your mortgage is up next month. My house, my mortgage, the loan, boom, gone next month. What? Why are you just telling me now? Obviously, it's a mistake. No, it wasn't a mistake. And again, 8 pages, I'm going to cut to the chase. For 6 months, I had to deal with the prospect of possibly losing my house. The mortgage company, we were recommended by a friend to go to a mortgage company different than the credit union, and because of the holidays, everything was slow, and then things just kept happening, things beyond our control, things that some of them didn't even have to do with us, but we kept running into issues. So in January, I contacted the chapel, as I do, and desperately pleaded for help. Does anybody know anybody? Is there any way you can help me out? Barbara came to my rescue and introduced me to her mortgage guy, and things looked up. Looked like I was going to get everything taken care of. This guy was on it, and we were this close to closing. And then, bam, something else hit. So, January, February, March, I was living with the possibility of losing my house, which is not a position you want to be in. And, you know, people are like, sell it. First of all, no, I don't want to. But second of all, where are we going to go? We have 4 dogs and whatever. And then in May, I broke my foot. Nothing fun, nothing exciting. I think I told somebody one time I was shark swimming, and that doesn't even make sense because I haven't been to the beach in forever. But no, I fell and landed on it wrong and broke my foot and was in a boot for 8 weeks. That stunk, by the way. Don't do that if you can avoid that. Don't be in a boot. My girlfriend did take me to Raleigh, and I hobbled around, and we saw a concert. It was her birthday weekend, and we had a great time. So I was very thankful for that. So why am I telling you all this, besides wanting to embarrass myself on live TV? I wanted to kind of paint a picture of what this last year involved for me. And it's because it was very stressful and very dark and very depressing. I didn't want to get out of bed, which I hate. I'm not a person that likes to be in the bed unless I'm supposed to be going to sleep. I'm so sorry. Excuse me one moment. All right. Boy, this is going great. Woohoo. Welcome back, Dena. All right. I'm getting to the point. Bless your heart. Thank you for everybody's patience. Okay, so a snapshot of what this past year's been like. I wasn't floating through life with love and light. I was thinking, I was depressed, I couldn't get out of bed, which I hate. Double exclamation point. I tried everything in my metaphysical toolbox, meditation, manifestation. I smudged my house numerous times with sage, and then my son and his family bought me a stick of rosemary, which I thought was great because not everybody is into the metaphysical, as I am, so I thought that was pretty cool. Actually, you guys know Frances. She's a member here. That's my son's wife, my camera woman. So sage is traditionally used for cleansing and purifying by dispelling negative energy. Rosemary, on the other hand, is often associated with protection, clarity, and memory enhancement. But even with all that, I couldn't shake the darkness. The heaviness lingered, and my husband and I were both grieving. Since I'm already bawling, I didn't want to tell you my dog passed away. Yeah. So here's the truth. Life hits. It's not always about avoiding the punches or avoiding the storm. It's learning how you move with them. To dance in the rain, or at least in my case, limp in a boot. I realized I had to shift my perspective. You all know I'm big on energy. And here's what I realized. Energy doesn't disappear, it transforms. The first law of thermodynamics states that energy cannot be created or destroyed, only changed. That means the bad energy, the grief, the stress, the fear, it can all be shifted. Different cultures call it chi, prana, ki, feng shui, life force. Whatever your tradition, science, or spirituality, one thing is true, energy is real and it impacts us. Sometimes the energy lingers in a place, like a fingerprint on the soul of a room. Take the stone tape theory, for instance. It suggests certain materials like wood or stone can absorb emotional energy from traumatic events and replay them like a recording. That's why some spaces feel haunted or heavy. It may not be ghosts, it may be echoes. That was kind of how my house felt. You know, we thought we were cursed at one point. You know, everybody goes through stuff, but it was just on and on and on. It was crazy. So there's this concept of an egregore. It's a kind of collective thought form created by a group's shared energy. Religious movements, political causes, even fandoms. These entities can take on their own energetic life and influence us. So ask yourself, what are you feeding your thoughts and emotions? Because as Tony Robbins says, energy flows where attention goes. Let's talk about Mother Earth. Love that you brought that up. Betty is my mentor. Like she said, we were on the board together, and we usually talk about the same things and not realize it, and pick the same songs, and there's usually a connection. So if I'm her sunshine, she's my moon. So let's talk about the earth energy for a moment. Ley lines, vortexes, places like Mount Shasta, Uluru. I knew I wasn't going to be able to say that. Uluru. It's in Australia. Maybe you have to have an accent. Esphedra. These are places that our ancient cultures believed held concentrated spiritual power. Mount Shasta, for example, is believed. This is the first time I've ever had to do this. I'm so sorry. It's almost over, the good news. Mount Shasta, for example, is believed to be the Earth's root chakra, a primal source of life force. Many Native American tribes consider it sacred. Others believe it's home to the Lemurians. Lemuria is a mythical lost continent, primarily known for its connection to spiritual and occult theories, rather than an established scientific evidence. For even a crystal city within the mountain. That sentence did not go there. Ley lines are theorized to be energetic pathways connecting sacred sites like Stonehenge, the pyramids, Machu Picchu, and Uluru. Need to get me an Australian translator. While scientists often scoff, ancient cultures across the globe align their monuments along these lines, believing them to be spiritual highways, kind of like our meridians. Photographer Laura Greer, crystals are formed deep in the earth. Okay, so Mount Shasta has crystal caves. That's why, if you've heard of it, you may have heard of it because of that, but they have these incredible crystal caves. And crystals are formed deep in the earth and are thought to hold energy frequencies. Different stones align with different intentions, as we know. Amethyst for peace, rose quartz for love, citrine for joy. They're not magic wands, but they're powerful reminders of focus, grounding, and intention. Photographer Laura Greer, where you can check her blog out at lauragreer.com, describes standing before Esvedra in Spain. It's a massive rock with magnetic anomalies second only to the Bermuda Triangle. Legend ties it to Atlantis. Science notes its effects, that it affects compass readings. What she felt was something that she says we all feel at one point, and maybe that's the pull of something ancient, alive, and unseen. She recounts how ancient cultures separated by oceans shared similar beliefs in spirals, energy vortexes, and earth chakras. She met a shaman in Peru who showed her an energy greeting, arms forming an infinite loop, hands like yin-yang, pure connection, infinite energy exchange. It's a reminder that while technology disconnects us, the earth still whispers. Sometimes it screams, right? If we're still enough, quiet enough, present enough, we might hear it. And here's what I've always known. I'm finishing it up. Thank you again, guys. We are all energy. We are all motion. We are all vibration. I saw somewhere that everybody believes in Wi-Fi. We use it every day. But people think that vibration, energy, and frequencies are magic or mystical in some way, and they don't believe it, fake. So Tesla's ideas are, he's famously quoted as saying, if you want to find the secrets of the universe, think in terms of energy, frequency, and vibration. This quote encapsulates Tesla's belief that understanding energy, frequency, and vibration is fundamental to comprehending the universe and its workings. Tesla's quote suggests that the universe and everything in it can be understood by considering the fundamental properties of energy, frequency, and vibration. His ideas were not just philosophical, they were rooted in his scientific work, particularly in the field of electricity and electromagnetism. He believed that by understanding energy, frequency, and vibration, scientists could unlock new technologies and deepen their understanding of the universe. We're not separate from the earth. We are of it. Just like our bodies, earth has chakras too. The root chakra can be considered Mount Shasta. It's located in California. The sacral chakra could be in Lake Titicaca, which is a freshwater lake in the Andes Mountains on the border of Bolivia and Peru. Fun fact, I don't know if you guys, I know some of you do watch Ancient Aliens. I actually went to a Ancient Alien Con and talked to David Childress and Giorgio Tsoukalos about Lake Titicaca. And it was great. You can see that on my blog. My friend that took me to Raleigh also went with me. Not that she cares about any of this. She just loves me and takes me wherever I ask. So solar plexus, Uluru. I'm adding another L in there. It's in Australia. You guys have probably seen it. It's the big sandstone monolith. It's also known as Ayers Rock. I should have used that. I can pronounce that. Ayers Rock, the red rock. You got it. The heart chakra could be considered in Glastonbury, which is in England. Throat chakra is Giza and Sinai, both in Egypt, Mount Sinai. And the third eye, she didn't really give an example. She said that kind of shifts with the ages. And the crown is Mount Kailash, which is in the Himalayas in China, the western part of the Tibetan Plateau. Even the northern lights are a manifestation of energy, solar flares meeting magnetic fields at the poles, science and spirit intertwined. And through it all, this year of heartbreak, healing, chaos, and calm, I've learned something simple and profound. You matter. Unless you multiply yourself by the speed of light squared, then your energy. Namaste. Thank you.